Hi, Bill Doherty from the Doherty Relationship Institute. I want to talk about challenge. We all know that good therapy is a balance of support and challenge. If there's no support, we don't have a relationship with somebody. And if we're not challenging them, we're just sort of like a good buddy who doesn't want to rock the boat, I guess. And so some challenges come easier to therapists, and that is challenging somebody to stand up for themselves, to confront the feeling that maybe they don't, want to own. And that a lot of that is kind of easy for therapists, it's not so hard to challenge somebody to stick up for themselves with somebody who's bullying them or cheating on them or something. Harder challenges are the ones where somebody is doing something that is destructive, hurtful to somebody else. That's a harder challenge. It's a harder challenge because it seems to go against the norm of, I don't want somebody to feel guilty. I don't want them to think I'm telling them they're doing something wrong. So and there are not a lot of skills and tools out there for how do you challenge. So let's say in couples therapy, as somebody who is not taking in what their spouse says about, let's say, the effect of their temper on the spouse, and you've collected enough stories about this that you really are convinced that this person has a blind spot, if you will, about the effect of their temper on the other person. So, and you're doing this, of course, in couples therapy in front of the other person, so it's really complicated. And so I just want to give you one tip. And if you want to go more in the Doherty approach, lots of ways to scaffold challenges and go back and forth between the spouses. But here's one that I've learned, that the harder the challenge, the softer your entry has to be. And the more you have to be well modulated internally. You can't just turn on somebody. They just denied again. He's just denied again the effect of his angry outbursts on his wife. And if you're in that place, you're probably not going to pull it off very well. And if you do it in a way that sounds harsh, do you see what you just said? Okay, you're going to now sound like the old school marm. You're going to get the same defensive response that others. So you have to lean into it. And just as an example, so Bob, I hear you on how frustrated you feel, how out of control you feel when your wife does things, makes decisions with the kids, and that leaves you out. And then I just have to tell you, I think you're not seeing the effect of your frustration and how it comes out. You're not seeing the effect on your wife. I just think you got a blind spot there. So, can you see, I set it up with going to his hurt, where he's coming from. He just doesn't see himself as a guy, and nor do I see him as a guy who just like willy-nilly, no reason, just verbally beat up on his wife. So there first, and then challenging words like blind spot, soft voice, leaning towards him, calling him by name. So I'm kind of embracing him at the same time as challenging him. And so you may not be able to do it the first time this all comes up. You may have to think about it, you may have to plan it, and then deliver it. So that's my tip, just one tip for how do you challenge somebody about their destructive behavior in another person. This is out there for therapists. We don't get taught how to do that. But in couples therapy, that's some of what you have to be able to do. I think in all therapy, in fact. And that's just one tip. The harder the challenge, the softer the approach.